Hey TV fans, Board now back with you. On this video I returned to Ozark, so this is going to be my review of Ozark Season 4 Episode 3. It is called City on the Make. Full spoilers from the start as always. So yeah, this one starts off with Maya's meeting with Navarro on the plane where they're negotiating a possible immunity deal. Now she makes it clear to him that as part of that deal it would have to include him serving some jail time, which obviously he's not too keen on, and they do end at like an impasse with maybe certain concessions that Navarro might go away and think about things and vice versa, so there's room for some flexibility, but Maya is pretty firm on that, then that would have to be part of the deal from the FBI's point of view. So it sort of leaves the birds again sort of stuck in the middle, and a big centerpiece of the episode is them going to Chicago for a meeting with a very important businesswoman who it turns out has been involved in like distributing like amphetamine and various drugs, and she's potentially interested in their sort of drugs and, you know, investing in their business, which could be a big deal for them and a good, you know, bit of business for the cartel as well. So they go for that meeting, but there's a couple of other things that come from that, because the meeting doesn't go the best, and it's partly because of breaking news that concerns like things to do with their business, especially like this sort of drug thing being intercepted, and it's sort of hinged on certain things that she finds out over the news, which doesn't look too good from their point of view. But I mean, speaking of the Maya situation, like Marty like gives her information on like a drug run which is going to be taking place, and it involves like Javi's men. Obviously Javi's been like a nuisance, so I think they sort of see it as like killing two birds with one stone, because Javi has been sniffing around, so they see it as a way to maybe slap him down and distract him a little bit, but also it's something where they can give like an olive branch to the FBI when it comes to maybe negotiating with Navarro, and maybe if they give them this, it might bring the FBI and Navarro closer to like striking a deal. But so what ends up happening is there's this really sort of tense, intimidating scene when the birds are like having dinner as a family, and Javi randomly shows up in Chicago. He again isn't giving them a moment of peace. He like follows them to Chicago, and he starts making like a scene of himself, and is very suggestive. And this scene at dinner is very uncomfortable because, you know, Jonah isn't there. I'll talk more about Jonah in this episode in a minute, but he doesn't go with them because obviously he's pissed at Wendy and all that, and he has his own stuff going on. But Charlotte obviously goes. It's interesting actually that Charlotte now is like fully subscribed and fully submitted to like the family cause and the business, whereas she actually for a long time was the one who was very much anti this stuff and very upset with the parents, and, you know, sort of wanted out of it at one point. And Jonah was like the opposite, I think partly because he's the younger of the two, so for a while he was the more innocent one who just went along with things. So we've had like a swap around, but I think with Charlotte we've had some good character growth on that as well, because although she's like committed to like the family business and that, I think with that it has brought, you know, a bit more depth to her character, and she is still very much like a sympathetic in-between type character, as we see a bit in this episode. But anyway, as I said, you have this uncomfortable like dinner scene where, I don't know, he's almost quite threatening towards Charlotte, or he's sort of flirting with her a bit, which obviously is very creepy. But anyway, he gets a message on his phone, and it's to let him know that like the drug delivery has been like held up and caught by the feds, and it's something for them, as I said, because they get to check the truck and look into these drugs. So that's obviously a slap down a little bit for Javi, who's really pissed. And speaking of Charlotte, because she has a role to play in Chicago, and it's then Erin, because you've got like the private investigator Mel, who's been sniffing around, and Erin says then it's like her father who sent him to like investigate. And obviously things are, Erin's starting to get like edgy and concerned about her mum, who they haven't found yet. So Charlotte is sort of sent as, because she's obviously quite close to Erin, she's sent to like make peace, or sort of kind of calm the situation down, because obviously they can't confirm one way or the other. They don't want to confirm, but at the same time they want to keep her on the good side of things. They don't want Erin like freaking out and maybe saying too much. So and it's a smart move, obviously, sending Charlotte, because Erin's a bit more likely to listen to her, and Charlotte's very sympathetic. And this is what I mean about Charlotte, is I think in this scene, like, she's generally nice to Erin and she is supportive. I don't think it's just an act to like keep her in line and to keep things under wraps. I think she is actually like does care about her and is sympathetic, but at the same time she's obviously there and to keep the situation under control. But she kind of, without saying in so many words, but she does sort of hint then, yeah, her mother may well be dead, and she also just makes it clear that Erin can't say anything about any of this stuff, then it wouldn't be good for anybody, including Erin. And I like the balance of this scene. I like how Charlotte suggests this, like, she's not too forceful, she's not too like intimidating or nasty, she's reasonably firm, but she's also very sensitive. And it's an awkward, uncomfortable scene, because both these characters are like largely quite sympathetic and quite innocent in this whole thing, so you sort of feel for them both, especially Erin, obviously. But that's sort of Charlotte's like role on the trip. So I'll talk about Jonah, because he actually, obviously in the last episode, he was already starting to work for Ruth and for Darlene. And in this episode, Ruth continues this thing with this celebrity chef, which she started working with in the last episode. And the whole thing there is, they sort of feel like he'll like endorse the drugs and everything, because he's, likes the drugs and stuff. And at first Darlene's against it. She's very suspicious of the whole thing. But then actually that she sees some results and sees that it's actually making them a lot of money. So she gives in and says, okay, fine, do it, sort of thing. And also Ruth starts getting quite sort of friendly with the chef as well, and they share some like intimacy, and they get high together, and it's going well for the time being. It's the sort of thing that you sort of feel could turn south at any time, then something's going to go wrong with it. But speaking of the Jonah situation, what happens with him in this episode is then the war between him and Wendy continues. Wendy shows like him and Charlotte like this monument that she's done to Mark Ben, and Jonah just doesn't buy into it, just doesn't buy that she's sincere. isn't having any of it, and then so the feud continues where he's obviously like laundering money online for like Ruth and the competitors. So Wendy, obviously, as things get to a head, she like shuts off the power in the house, and she does it obviously so that he can't go online and continue. And it's really petty, obviously, and Marty like is criticizing her for it. It's like, yeah, that was a bit cheap, and it's only gonna piss him off more. And of course, Marty's right, and as Marty predicts, it doesn't work because Jonah only then goes and stays and lives with Ruth and Darlene at like the hotel. And I say the hotel because they actually take over the Lazy O hotel as a way to like launder more money from there, but it's also a base for their drug operations. So yeah, it backfires on Wendy that time because Jonah just goes and moves there, and obviously that further drives a wedge between them. Now, what I like about this stuff with the hotel is then I'm pretty sure this is, I could be wrong, but I think it might be the same hotel as from the opening episode, or like episode 2 of the show, I should say, like the first full one that the birds were living in Ozark, because I'm sure they started off staying at this hotel, and you know, I remember like you had the scene by the pool, and it's sort of how they first met like Ruth. So yeah, I'm pretty sure this is the same hotel. It would sort of be perfect if it was like, it's sort of like for continuity sakes and how things have sort of come full circle. So that's all really, really good stuff. So the Lazy O hotel, and they're now running out of it, and things really getting spicy once again between Jonah and Wendy, and obviously him now working even more so for Ruth and for Darlene. So a lot of intriguing, meaty stuff going on in this episode. I think it's definitely, I mean, it's been a good season anyway, but I think this is the best of the 3 episodes so far. So that's Ozark once again, episode 3 of season 4, and I will continue on and get up to date for the new episodes, the final episodes which drop this week. So look out for more Ozark this week on the channel. Sorry, like and subscribe as always. Share me out on social media, and I'll see you guys again soon. Goodbye.